Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Decide.
So I started my journey pretty much at the same age you guys are at right now. Right at the 11th grade, I end up getting a job working in a dental office. And so after school, I would go in this office and I would pull charts. I would pull patient records for the next day. Not only would I pull the charts, I would also call those patients and make sure we confirm the appointments to make sure that they will be arriving the next day. So if they weren't coming, we would cancel or whatever, that type of thing, talk to the patients. And I really started liking talking to patients. Actually, since the age of probably 5, 6, 7, I love going to the dentist. I was infatuated with the little toy. Anybody went to the dentist and they have the little toy chest, and I thought that was super cool because I could pick out whatever I wanted and had a super cool dentist at that time. So I've always had to love the dentistry from day one. I would like to say at that early age. And then now in the 11th grade, being able to work in an office my entire 11th grade year and as well as my entire 12th grade year, that desire grew even further. So I went to University of Detroit, Mercy. At that time, it wasn't Mercy, it was just the University of Detroit. On track for dentistry, finished up, decided that I would be a dental hygienist first because I thought that I could work while I was in dental school. Needless to say, I did not realize how challenging dental school is. And I was able to work maybe my freshman year in the summer, a couple of months with one of the faculty members that was here, but that's about all I was able to work. You're in dental school, she could tell you, let her tell you best, but you're in dental school, you committed to dental school, and you in here like 10 hours a day because you also have lab work to do. So wasn't able to really do that. But once I graduated from University of Detroit, coming to dental school here, I was accepted at University of Detroit. However, for someone, I'm a social butterfly. I like to talk. As you well can see, I thought would be best for me to come to be around like-minded people. Staying in Detroit, I had friends and family, and somebody say, "Hey, let's go to the mall." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna study later, go to the mall, and then I'll get to this later." And that's not a good recipe when you're trying to stay focused. So I decided to come here to Meharry, graduated from Meharry in 1996, went home and opened up a practice, which I really love. All the people that are in my practice. I was just home a couple of weeks ago. Went to the practice, and everybody that I left there is still there. One of the associate doctors that worked for me, she now is the owner of that practice, and they're still thriving with the patients. I was able to run into patients that were patients of mine that are still there. So it was, it's always a rewarding experience when you go back and everything still maintains the way it was. So love that. I love the practice. I love private practice, but decided to come back here once the president, you met the Dean Farmer Dixon, when she became dean in 2013. She said, "Hey, I need my truth back. I need people to be here that are, gonna have my back," type of thing. And so my first thought was, I can't do that. I have a practice. What am I gonna do? So my husband is he actually was born in California, although he was raised in Detroit, was trying to get away from the snow, and was like, "Oh, you better rethink that. Like we need to come out of the snow and just think about the opportunity." So got that in mind and worked that a little bit, started to make my way of transitioning to come into academia. And academia is never one of the things that I ever thought about doing. I never saw myself in this position. However, it has been extremely rewarding. I learned that I really like interacting with the students. Practicing, I can do all day. I can do that blindfold. Although I always say that now I work way harder now than I did in private practice, even though it was my own practice. I work harder now because of, what I do. However, I love what I do. So any of you ever, when you come into dentistry, there is so many avenues, you can practice, you can be a director, you can go into academia, public health is another section. It's so many, it's a well diverse field. So it's not just, you don't just have to be in a practice doing things. There's also group practices. There's a lot of different areas. So I encourage you, as you think about not only thinking about coming into the field of dentistry, but think about the field of dentistry that you might want to reside. So you may want to go into public health, you may want to go into academia, you may want, there's other things that you can do when it comes to the field. So also think about that. Some people might want to be an orthodontist, some people want to be a periodontist, some people want to be an oral surgeon. So there's just a lot, a long list of things that you can do as in the career of dentistry. And so mine ended up being by chance, not so much by choice, but my journey and my path led me to academia. And so when I first came on in 2014, I was actually a faculty member. I taught in oral diagnostic sciences. A lot of the courses that I had then, we all as administration, I'm a part of administration now, but we all still have some teaching roles. So I still teach in clinical dentistry as you become as you transfer from being a pre-clinical student to now a clinical student. I get you ready for that. And of course, we call comprehensive clinical treatment plan. So there's different things that I my main role is just as a assistant dean of clinical affairs, which is patient services. I'm a patient services dean. I make sure that our patients are satisfied. We got to make sure that our patients get through and get appointments. I have to make sure that the students have all the requirements that they need in order to graduate. So it's rewarding. If any of you have any questions about, what it's like to be a patient services dean or administration in clinical affairs, again, I'm everything clinics. Academia is not necessarily something I cross, but also, we have to know a little bit about everything as far as administration is concerned. So anybody have any questions about my journey or about some of the things that you had in the past, or you've seen some things, feel free to talk to me about those things. Yes.
How did you get a job in a dental clinic like at a young age? Did you know somebody or did you just like apply?
Actually, I did. So I have my husband's cousin who also is a hygienist right now. She worked at that particular office. And so I guess when she got off work, like I don't know, I'm say 4 o'clock or whatever, and they needed someone. One of the doctors liked to work on Wednesdays, like she worked until 7. Somebody, certain people work early and some people work late, and it was that type of practice. And so they were having issues because the front staff was leaving at 4 and 5 o'clock, and she doesn't. Her last patient may be at 6 or 7, so was looking for somebody that could come in. And so she called me and say, "Hey, Vita, would you like to come in after school?" I think at that time I got out of school like 2:30 or something. So it's like, would you like to come and, pick up some hours? And maybe I'm like, oh, I would love to do that, So yeah, I actually did have some insight. I had a cousin, my husband's cousin that worked there as a hygienist, and that's how I got the job.
Okay, cool.
Good question. Yes.
Why did you originally become a hygienist? Was it just to make money before dental school?
And that's a good question as well. That and to test the waters, I do have a mentee that just graduated this year in 2025. And as she was coming through, I tried to tell her, don't do what I do. You want to be a dentist. I was doing that because it was like, let me just, how you stick your feet in the water just to see how cold it is before you jump in. That was my idea. I wanted to be able to work and make money as a dental student, but I also want to say, let me get a feel for dentistry just to see how well I like it, you know. But she's always, you know, wanted to strive, you know, to be a dentist. And it's like, that was a complete waste of time because I would have been in dental school much earlier had I not, you know, but she didn't listen. She ended up going through hygiene as well and coming in later as a dentist. But yes.
Okay, do you all mind, let's, do you repeat the question back so that, because the people online can't
Yeah,
hear
so
you?
I will do
And
that.
let's do, if you don't mind, let's just do introductions and then we'll open it up for, questions for all the panelists.
Let's do that. Do introductions first.
Yeah, let's do
Let's do
introductions.
that. So can you not forget your questions? I had some other questions. Don't forget your questions, write them down, and then as it comes back, we'll do that, okay?
Thank you. very
All
much.
right, you're welcome.
Hey y'all, I'm student Dr. Alexis Jackson. So all of you guys want to go into dentistry?
No.
No? Testing one, that's fine. I actually did not want to do dentistry until we were junior year of high school. I was junior year of college. So for me, it was, oh, my dentist kept saying, "Are you sure you don't want to do dentistry?" And I was like, why would I want to do dentistry? I'm like, you want to be selling monkey breath all day? And that's not something I wanted to do. But then when I went to go shadow my fall break, my junior year undergrad, I went to Prairie View A&M in Texas. I literally fell in love with it. It's very hands-on. I like the fact that you can take away someone's pain like that day. Like I can't really say the same for the medical profession, which is what I wanted to do like my whole life up until that point. So yeah, I would say that's my start of my journey. I always did, you know, the pediatrician route. I just wanted to help kids. I always knew I wanted to help kids. And so now my direction is pediatric dentistry. We'll see if I stick with that. Everyone always kind of like, you're kind of crazy, but it's fun. Just what else? I am a rising D3 here. And so I'm now a clinical student. I would say it's been interesting to say the least. It's definitely different from being in book work and then actually trying to see that in real life and have to put everything, you know, into play, versus just asking each other questions and saying, okay, well, I'm gonna probe your mouth today as our practice, or we give each other injections for anesthesia. I have to do this on a real person now. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun. That's neither. I would say dental school is hard. It's not easy breezy. For me, also even getting to this point, I got my master's first. So right after undergrad, I didn't know what I was gonna do because I did not get into dental school. So I went and taught at a middle school. And I also taught elementary in my gap semester, I would say. And then I got into the Master's of Health Science program here at Meharry. And from that point, I also did an internship. I would say if you really are interested in dentistry or your, medical field, period, look for those internships because they'll help you really decide, okay, like, this is something that I want to do, as well as shadow. You guys are at a point you're in high school. That's the perfect time to start shadowing. All you have to do is literally call whatever office is near you and say, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm a junior, senior at so-and-so high school, and I'm interested in orthodontics. Do you allow students to come in and shadow for a day? And so typically they say yes. If they say no, that's okay. Find another office. And so you just show up with balance, have questions. I love when you have questions. And just kind of see how it is to be in that profession for a day, and if you really don't want to do it. And then with the internships, a lot of the times they give you prep material. So you have to, for dental school, you need to pass the dental admissions test. And so for me, the first time I took it, I did not do very well. I also didn't take it as serious. So I didn't study as I should have. But the second go around, I took it very serious. I had a study group. We were all virtual because it was around COVID. But we would get on FaceTime, say, hey girl, I need help with this section of math. She needs help with ortho. So we're backing, off of each other with the knowledge that we do have. And so from there, we all passed that round of the DAT. And so we're all in dental school now, prospering, I would like to say. So that's another thing, and the masters helped me as well, and that's how my friend Donna did up there, We did the masters together, we're in the same class here. And I would say my journey is it's going really nice. It definitely it has its trials. But if you're a believer like me, he's not gonna put you in a situation that you can't handle. So I'm blessed to be here.
Everyone. My name is S.M.I.L.E Byers. I'm an manager here at Meharry School of Dentistry. My journey into dentistry was a little different, a little unorthodox, to say the least. I actually have a background in business, but I actually was the practice manager behind the scenes for my wife's office. She opened her practice, so I would handle her tax, ordering her supplies, things of that nature. So in essence, I was a practice manager, but I just wasn't on the payroll at that particular time. But anyway, my wife had the genius idea. I was working in the business sector, but my wife had the genius idea and said, "Hey, why don't you come work with me, full time?" Thought about it. And she said, "We had this conversation before," which I didn't remember, but she said, I said yes. I didn't remember that. But anyway, I said, I'm a man of my word. So I said yes then. But it took a couple of years for me to actually come and work with her full time. So eventually I did work with her full time as a practice manager, which was pretty rewarding. My interaction, I didn't have a lot of interaction with the patients at that particular time because she did have a full staff, but she had another bright idea. We had a hygienist who actually had to leave the country. And we actually, at that particular time, you had to kind of outsource out for hygiene fill-in for those particular offices if you were lacking that day or what have you. So anyway, she had this bright idea and said, "Hey, why don't you go back to dental hygiene school?" And I said, "Hygiene school? No, I hadn't really thought about dentistry. I loved teeth. Loved keeping my teeth clean. S.M.I.L.E, I think, is very important. Teeth are very important. I came to know that. But anyway, so I did. Went back to school and got my hygiene degree. So the reason for that, it was genius, because if anything happened, we had a call in, well, a hygienist was let go, quit, what have you, I could actually step right in. From a business standpoint, we could keep the ball rolling. It's pretty important. And it was genius for her. I will give her that. So anyway, I worked with her for years and eventually finished my hygiene degree. And it became rewarding to me, actually, in terms of meeting patients, actually interacting with the patients. And as the student doctor mentioned, you're actually changing. You have the ability to change people's lives right then and there. We have people come in, I see patients as a hygienist, and people are self-conscious about their teeth, smile, gum tissue, the oral cavity in general. But to change people's perspective in one visit or 2 visits is very rewarding. So for me, it became rewarding in that aspect. So later on, opportunity presented itself here at the Meharry School of Dentistry. I did was practice manager for a few dental offices in the city where I lived at that particular time. And the opportunity became available here at Meharry School of Dentistry for the clinic manager position. And in that position, I work. Dr. Sykes is the dean. I am the clinic manager. I support her. And I also support a staff of dental business assistants who actually are responsible for all patient the entire patient aspect of progress here at the School of Dentistry in terms of registration from beginning until they check out. So we're responsible for all of that information, registering, and also making sure that the student doctors, while we're registering and treating all in terms of processing patients, we want to make sure that those patients are available for the student doctors with them and their requirements, to meet their requirements here at the School of Dentistry. Those D3s and those D4s are juniors and seniors in essence in dental school who are actually clinical, who actually treat patients. So my journey was a little unorthodox, but it was very rewarding, and I'm so happy to be here. And in my past life, before, I did work for a nonprofit where I worked for a nonprofit and we actually mentor high school students, specifically males at that particular time. The suspension rate was extremely high for some young males in school. And so we were trying to change that perspective and lower those statistical rates, the suspension rate. So I enjoy working with people, especially youth.
Hi, my name is April Malone, and as it's been said, I'm an expanded functions dental assistant instructor here at Meharry. I've been here since October of 2019. Let's see how I got started. I was 18 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, when I got out of high school. And it just took one thought. My sister asked me, what do you like? And is there anything that's interesting to you? And I said, well, I loved having braces. So there's a start. It only takes that one thing that you're like or you're interested in, you can kind of go with it. I signed up. There was a program at Nashville Tech off White Bridge Road back in '99 that you could put your name on a list if you were interested in becoming a dental assistant and with no experience. And a dentist would pick your name off the list. They would interview you. And if you're a good fit for the office, then they would pay for you to go through school and you would work for them. And that is what I did. So for the first year as a dental assistant, I was called a practical dental assistant because before you get licensed through the board, you're not able to take x-rays and things like that. So I was able to suction, do instrumentation, and all the things that I was allowed to do legally as a practical dental assistant. Once my year was up, I took my board exams, which were morphology, jurisprudence, and radiology. I passed, and I have been a dental assistant for the last 26 years. I waited a little bit to get my expanded functions. I had been an assistant for 17 years at the time before I went back to school. Things cost money, so I had to wait a little bit. But I have been an expanded functions dental assistant for 7 years, so a total of 26 years as a dental assistant. I love teeth. I love being artistic. If you're good with your hands, dentistry is definitely going to be a good fit because it does take a lot of art when we're placing fillings and we want things to look good. Let's see. I got offered the chance to come here to Meharry in 2019 and teach. And after 20 years of working chairside private practice with general dentists, I was ready for a change. I still wanted to be in dentistry, but I just wanted to do something different. And I love taking everything I've learned in the last 26 years and helping assistants and hygienists and even student doctors to be the best that they can be. And to show them all the things that I've learned over the years. Let's see, anything else? I think that's about it.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Slaughter, and I am a registered nurse, but advanced practice nurse, family nurse practitioner. And that's just like when you hear physicians in family practice that they see total patients as a general practitioner. I was sitting here thinking as I heard all the healthcare professionals here, what matters for me in healthcare, and then I'll tell you about my trajectory. Basically, what matters to me is healthcare, that we are preventing prevention, wellness, disease, I'm sorry, disease management, et cetera. And we all as a team make up that multifaceted, holistic approach. I started out, I had to think back 16 years old as a pharmacy tech. Little did I know that I would go into healthcare. I wanted to be a psychologist and then go to Howard University, but I did not get to do that. Things changed as I got 18, but by 19 years old, I became a medical assistant. And one of the things of Meharry, which is I have a heart for, I had the opportunity to work with the legendary Dr. Dorothy L. Brown, which a lot of people know of her here, and she was the first female African-American general surgeon in the Southeast, and she's a graduate of Meharry. And so by going for the medical assistant, I made a decision to progress on to go to nursing school. And that was definitely rewarding. HBCU, Tennessee State University, where I got my baccalaureate in advanced practice degree, bachelor's and master's of science in nursing. Very rewarding to go through those processes. But I wanted to do much more because in my both programs at Tennessee State University, we were groomed for excellence. We were groomed for entrepreneurship, which I've done a lot of. So for that being said, I have been in family practice for 2 decades, nursing education, entrepreneur. I had my own practice, family practice, Trinity Family Healthcare. And still, I felt like it was more to do. So I've also been involved in community service with Chi Eva Phi, which is it's a nursing professional organization, where we also do a lot of community service. Just recently, I went out to Rwanda, which was 2 years ago. My husband and I, in the school that I'm in now, to finish my doctorate, PhD. But when I was out there, I was assessing things that could be done to mitigate health disparities and improve health outcomes. So we came back here and we furnished a well for the Rwandan population. And public health means a lot to me. My last full-time position was with United Healthcare, where I went all over the state of Tennessee, seeing patients that were underserved, underprivileged, and to bring healthcare in, identify health risk assessments. I do know that some of you here had mentioned about being a nurse practitioner. Whatever track you're looking to go in, you couldn't go wrong. Wanting to serve in the community, serve as healthcare professional, dentistry. We're here, they brought you in here for that particular discipline. Oral health, gut health, all of this starts first with the mouth going in. So I think it's very important that you look at this dentistry and what you could offer. I do appreciate the opportunity to sit alongside each of you, and I hope that you all make a pertinent decision of what you want to do. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have about 20 to 30 minutes where we're gonna allow you all to ask questions. You can ask a question to one person, or you can ask a question to the panel. I'm gonna ask the panelists to try to keep your response to about a minute so we can get to as many questions as possible. So if you have a question, if you'll just do me a favor, raise your hand, just say your name and where you're from, and then ask your question. And this also extends to folks online as well. But we'll start in the room. And I'll just again ask if you don't mind repeating their question so the folks online can hear. I saw a hand. All right, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Juliana Duggan. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And my question's for everybody. As a kid, what was your dream job?
So the question is, what was your dream job to any of the panelists?
So start in order here. You want to start from there and come down?
I can answer to say, I didn't have a dream job, so you all can use it. I can answer by saying I didn't have a dream job.
I wanted to be a park ranger.
I didn't necessarily have a dream job, but I wanted to play sports, and that was basketball, but I wasn't quite tall enough. Yeah. I had to alter my path.
Like I had to.
So my mom is an educator. I wanted to be a principal, so yeah. But I didn't think I would get taken that seriously because I'm so little, so here I am.
Believe it or not, I wanted to be a commercial writer. I just didn't think that I was creative enough, and so, my next path was dentistry.
Great question. Thank you. All right. Who else? Yes, ma'am.
Do I have to stand up
You
first?
don't have to. You
Okay. My name is Kirsten Flowers. I'm from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I wrote down a question for each one of you. I already know you answered my first question, but the question I had for you was why didn't you take the dental exam serious like the first time you took it?
Okay, so the first time I took it, I'm someone I think I can do everything, okay? And I learned the hard way. I can't do everything. At the time when I was doing that, studying for that exam, I was also taking summer classes so I could finish early with undergrad. I was in research. I was on 2 research projects, and I was doing the internship. The internship was completely virtual, and I was like, oh, that's okay. They're gonna pay for it. It's fine. And so when I was studying, I was also working. So another thing, it is hard to work being in dental school, but I babysit, and so that's something I've always done, take easy money. So doing all those things and trying to study, it just wasn't, that wasn't even smart, at all. So at the time, I was like, oh, I can do it just fine, and I didn't even want to give 5 minutes to it, so.
Okay. I had a question. How long did it take you completely to become a dental hygienist?
2 years. Oh, well, the question was, how long does it take to become a dental hygienist? 2 years. I went to a 2-year program.
Okay. And you said that you had to take a break from school to save up the money to pursue an education further, right? If you had the chance, would you have went to school earlier?
Absolutely. If I had the chance and I had the money at the time, I would definitely have went to school earlier.
Okay. And who was the really famous doctor you worked with at first?
Dr. Dorothy L. Riley.
Okay, and would you say she played a part in wanting to pursue your education further?
Absolutely.
Okay.
She practiced in excellence.
all right, go ahead.
My name's Neva. I'm from Atlanta. And I was just wondering, I guess this is for everyone, what a typical day of work is like for you. I guess because I'm trying to figure out what the work-life balance of being involved in dentistry is
We can start then. Do you mind talking about when you were an actual practicing dentist and then now
Sure.
then we do you mind repeating the question?
So your question was, what are your daily roles, or?
Yeah, what is a normal day like
A
as
typical day.
practicing dentist, and how many days throughout the week did you work and stuff like that?
Okay, that's kind of loaded, so I'll start as I was asked, as far as my private practice. When I was in private practice, I would come in and the front desk will already have my day. Whatever we're gonna do, we do what we call a morning huddle. We also do that here in dental school. You do a morning huddle to see what are all the patients that are lined up for today, and what are the procedures. If there is payment, if there's a balance that needs to be paid beforehand, so everybody will be on one page, what are we doing for the day? And so now, those patients will come in, and the dental assistant will come and take care of the x-rays and whatever else, make sure that all the medical history is up to date. And then, I like to do a process where they asking those questions. Is there any changes in your health at all? Because, I come in and we give them something or do anesthesia or something like that, and they allergic to it, that could be a disaster. So they would have to ask at the front desk, the dental assistant, when they see them, have to ask the same question. And then I follow through and ask the same question again, and that's your checks and balances. So, and then I'll go ahead and perform my procedure. I get up, and then the dental assistant will come in and follow up the rest, take the patient to the front desk and dismiss them. And if there was something had to be paid, the front desk would take care of that, okay? Here, basically my day is, pretty much challenging. You know, you never know what I plan to have for today, and what happens today may not ever match, just depending on the day. So when I come in, basically is to look through, what do we have? You know, what are the patients that's coming in, making sure that our patients is getting in, because our patients are scheduled at 8 o'clock and they're also scheduled at 1 o'clock. So making sure that we get all the patients through without issues. Is there any insurance problems? Having to make sure Mr. Byers will take care of that, or he or somebody on his team will make sure that that's taken care of. And depending on what we're doing today, whether I'm in class or not, but mainly to shorten this answer is to make sure that the clinics are running efficiently as far as patients. Make sure that all the patients is gotten to wherever they need to be without issue. And if there is an issue, mainly that's where I come in. If there's an issue now, I have to handle that issue for that patient. That answer your question?
Yes.
All right, everyone, yeah, so I think you wanna, just a typical day for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so student doctor. Our typical day, between Monday through Friday, your class is 8 to 5. So sometimes it can be different. You might have, obviously like exams. You could have honestly a full day of exams. We've had times where we had 3 exams one day. So it's like, 8 o'clock, another one at 10 o'clock, you have your lunch break. Typically, you're not gonna eat lunch, you're gonna be studying for the next test. So that's one day that it could be. Another, a lot of us are fitness people, so go to the gym. I might wake up 5 a.m., go to the gym before my day. I know it's gonna be a long day, and we will be until 5. But I stay till 5, depending on if I have operative work to do. Say when you have no operative, we just go hands-on. You guys go to get a feel. We're practicing that. So I might need a practice for practical. So I'm in right after that 5 o'clock. I might go grab a snack, grab dinner, and I'm back in the lab till it closes around 9 o'clock. Another thing, maybe go to class 8 o'clock, end the day at 5, be done, and I'll go to the gym and then go study. So it just really depends on the day. And that's another thing, you just kind of have to go with the flow.
A typical day for me involves managing the entire patient registration process. And then also, we'll wrap it up in a capsule for you, managing the patient care process. That means in terms of scheduling, patients who may be disgruntled, and then also making sure that those patients are scheduled accordingly. As I mentioned before, so the student doctors, number one, to manage their care, to treat them accordingly. And then also to make sure that the student doctors, those patients who are scheduled for them, are scheduled accordingly so they can meet their requirements. As stated, also manage a team that supports Dr. Sykes in her efforts in that entire process. Typically, that's the beginning of the day, and in dealing with patients, it's very rewarding, but yet it can be challenging as well, because we're dealing with people. And we're dealing with people who sometimes present in pain. And so we try to manage that as best as we can.
Let's see, let's start with, before I came to Meharry, private practice, like Dr. Sykes was saying. We would have huddle at 7:30 in the morning. 8 a.m. we would start seeing patients. Huddle was basically to talk about the patients, what procedures are happening, who's gonna be where, just so you could be prepared. Then at 8 a.m. we'd start seeing patients, and I would work chair side, meaning I would assist the doctor and any treatment that we were doing, root canals, crowns, fillings, just whatever was being done. I worked general dentistry for 20 years, so we did a little bit of everything. And then we would end, and not always, because you have to love what you do, because sometimes it doesn't it's not always a 9 to 5 job. You know, there were times where I would work through lunch, because you've got to take care of your patients. They come first when you're working with patients. Some days we get done a little early, but most days we would get down a little late. But like I said, you have to love what you're doing. Okay. When I came to Meharry, I needed or wanted a little slower pace. I don't think I got that, but but I still love what I do as an instructor. So teaching assistants and hygienists how to place fillings and how to do all that kind of neat stuff that the doctor would generally do. I also help the student doctors with my knowledge in CAD/CAM technology, with the CEREC machine. So I help to teach that. And my day usually consists of coming in around 7:30 and leaving around 4. I actually think I leave most days a little earlier working here than I did in private practice. But both jobs were very rewarding. I've enjoyed it very much.
So for registered nurse and nurse practitioner, I'm gonna try to midstream it really quickly. As a baby nurse, I started out at Vanderbilt in neuroscience, neural floor. So you would get up in the morning, be there by 6:45 to take a report from the other nurses and from what is going on with the patients at night, and overview your charts and basically see what your plan of care for the day would be. And then you would go assess your patients. That's what you would do as becoming a registered nurse on the floor. They call them staff nurses. Moving up to an advanced practice nurse, which is family nurse practitioner or whatever specialty. Definitely the huddle, as they've stated, and you would review charts before you get ready to see your patients for the day. You want to make sure that you have looked over past medical history, different things before you go in to speak with the patient. If you want to have good bedside manner, you want to make sure that you remember something important about a patient. If it's somebody that is a return patient from the last time you've seen it, you want to review labs, you want to do all of those things. So you would be ready to come in, assess the patient, see if any, whatever their complaints are, and then be ready to do the diagnosis and treatments. And at art of it, you will be able to do that really in 2 to 5 minutes. So basically, you would do that, seeing your patients and whatever needs, and in between, like they say, try to make sure you can get you some lunch and keep moving, because you have to keep moving. And there is a business side. So as we're taking our time today to speak to you and all of that, in the real world practice, 15 minutes, it may be less or more. You're not able to do a lot of chit chat beyond. You do the best you can to be present. That is very important, that you be present and have a good personality. But at the end of the day, you also have to look at the business side, because revenue is important. And that's about what I can say.
All right. Time for, oh, yeah. We're gonna take a couple more questions in the room. Then what I'm gonna do is give you all an opportunity before we head back to the dorm. We will give you an opportunity to go back to your residence halls before we go out on our excursion for the day. So we'll take a couple more questions. They will stick around for a couple of minutes. So if you have questions specifically for folks, you can go to them. But why don't we go here? Let's go here, and then I'll see if anyone else has questions.
Hi, I'm Carlton Davidson. I'm coming here from Antioch, Tennessee. I just have a question for the whole panel as well. How did paying for schooling and like scholarship that you got or were available whenever you went to school, or are they still available, and what were the requirements, if you remember? But yeah.
And so we can start where we want to. These type of questions, if you don't have anything to add, we can just go to the next question. But when we start with the dental student, and then we'll pass.
Just one question.
And you,
Oh, yes. So basically your question is how to pay for like school, right? And like what scholarships and stuff. Okay, so For me, undergrad, I did get scholarships, for my school. However, the scholarship I got is not available anymore. But they still have other ones. There's also lots of different scholarship sites where you literally can just hit apply. And some will be GPA requirements, some will be, you need to be underrepresented in some sort of way. And another, I think what that one would be. Some of them are actually, they want to know if you live in a certain state, might be a Minnesota scholarship only, you know, if you're resident there. So there's those. I would say primarily for me, I am a loan student. I have lots of loans taken out. They will get paid sometime. So between undergrad loans, the master's loans, middle school loans. But I will say throughout undergrad and even through middle school, you can still get scholarships. Like I just got $1,000 scholarship to attend our Student National Dental Association conference a couple weekends ago or last weekend. So that's another thing you can do, and it's like through links, the Links Incorporated. So different organizations will have their own scholarships, like different fraternities, sororities, and stuff like that. That you can look into. And I know there's also it's called Black Courts or something like that. They give a lot of scholarships to Black students. So yeah.
For me, undergrad, for my bachelor's, it was part of academic scholarship. For hygiene, I paid for that. And for my MBA, loan.
Thing that I just celebrated 30 years, so. Yeah, basically everything she said, there are, you can get, scholarships from basically everywhere. Always check into your state. There were, like me coming from Detroit, there was, a scholarship for being a Black female. There was a scholarship for just being, you know, Black period in that area. There was scholarships just coming from Detroit. It's all kind of different, so coming from Michigan. She's already stated the, you know, the fraternities, sororities and that sort of thing. But also even me being here as a dentist, and when I became administration, I went back to get my MBA in 2018. And so in doing so, by working here, the school paid for, you know, my education as far as that. So it could be if you're already working somewhere, they'll take care of that. I know a long time ago, my son worked at Walmart, and Walmart also gave him like a $500 scholarship for going to school when he started. So there's all sorts of opportunities. I encourage you all to look it up, just Google things, and you'll be surprised with what you see. There's scholarships from like Colgate Palmolive. I got a lot of scholarships from Colgate Palmolive. They are very, very generous to the Black community. There were also Crest does some too, but they don't do it nearly as much as Colgate Palmolive. So Henry Schein, there's a lot of different scholarships that's out there, and I just encourage you to also just go in and Google it and look it up.
Yeah.
See what's out there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll just add, so I haven't talked about my journey. Dr. Salter mentioned that I received a Gates scholarship. So I'm just gonna tell you two people, me and my best friend, we both went to law school. I graduated from law school with no debt. So all of my schooling for undergrad was paid for. I don't believe that people should pay for education. Now some of you will have to pay, but the amount of work that you do to do scholarships now, look for scholarships now, will impact the amount of money that you ultimately pay. My best friend went to Howard with me for undergrad. Howard undergrad, 4 years when I went to school, was about $160,000. He paid $160,000 out of pocket to go to Howard. Then he went to Georgetown Law School. Law school was an additional $280,000. There are people that graduate from dental school and law school with $400,000 and $500,000 of debt. Now the thing is, if you're a professional, a lot of people see it as an investment because many people do make that money back. But you can be like me and go for free. I went to law school for free as well. He paid for law school. And so I just say that to say, I'm not smarter than him. Well, just on scholarships, I was. But there are people that end up paying a lot of money for education because they're lazy at the point that you all are at now. So I would just encourage you, if you need support from Dr. Salter and myself, or any of your chaperones on how to identify scholarships. There's scholarships from even the institutions that you apply to. Sometimes most of them are merit-based, but once you get in, you can go talk to the dean's office or to the president's office or to the financial aid office. And sometimes they can find donor scholarship dollars for you. So I just say that to say the amount of work that you put into the scholarship research process will be ultimately what you get out of it. And that money is not monopoly money. When you graduate from dental school or from undergrad, there are people that immediately 6 months afterwards, they're paying $2,000 just to pay off the loans that they took out. And so I just encourage you all, be smart, be like me, don't be like my best friend. And we'll take one or two more questions and then we'll wrap up. Go ahead.
What was your biggest, I don't know if I want to be a dentist anymore.
Or so the question is, was there a moment ever where you question your career trajectory, whether it's dentistry or hygiene or nursing or anything else? So we'll take a couple of responses on this.
She's not gonna say it. Well, of course, as our student just told you, dental school is very challenging. We're not gonna sugarcoat that by no stretch of the imagination. There were times, just I can remember one very vividly being in preclinical. I think this was my sophomore year. We were casting, now they don't have to do that, but we were casting inlays and gold foils. And we were here like 3 and 4 in the morning trying to cast. We had 12 to do. And if you blow a hole in it, you got to start from Genesis, which means you got to start over. And one of my classmates just, he stood up and he just screamed like, I can't take this anymore. And he threw his stuff down, got in his car and drove back to South Carolina, and we didn't see him anymore. We were like really frightened because like what happened to him. And it back then it was real where some people were committing actual suicide because of the stress. I didn't quite go that far, but I remember getting, we just looked at him like, oh, we got things to do, and we just kept doing it. But I remember, getting it checked the next day, and it was not right. It wasn't what the professor wanted. And I just went into the ladies' room and I just screamed from the top of my lungs. And then I, dried my tears and came back out like nothing happened. And okay, let's start it over. You know what I mean? So there are some times where you're a little stressed out. But I can say that because this is actually a Christian school. We're based on the Methodist faith, although we're from all. But one thing that kept me grounded is because we are a Christian school coming from a Christian background. I went in and said a prayer, blood of Jesus shine upon me. And then I was ready to get started again. Everybody may not be as fortunate, but yeah, there are times that you just become stressed out, and you know what? You just pick up the pieces and you roll on.
Yeah, she passes on. I will say in every job, I guarantee if you ask anyone that question, no matter what they do, there will be days where people sort of had rough days. It is a lot more prevalent in helping careers because as has been mentioned many times before, you're seeing people oftentimes when they are hurt, when they are in pain. And so that adds an additional layer of stress because if you are someone who's serious about your job, you're going to be empathetic and you're going to care and try to fix that. And sometimes you won't always be able to fix it. So these are stressful jobs, but that comes along with territory.
That's why they call it the practice of medicine, the practice of dentistry, because everything that walks through, you're not necessarily able to, just say, okay, about it, this is it. You can get to it the best way you can, and then that's when you know you to be firm, because there's somebody else that can.
Anyone else want to add anything?
I was gonna go back to that last question about paying for schools. My schooling is a little different. I didn't go to college, I went to tech school. So, the dentist who hired me paid for my schooling. I worked hard to get through it. And for me, it was always performance. I was offered the chance to go back and get more certifications. Hey, you're really good at what you do. I will pay for you to go, get this certification. That's how I got my expanded functions. And even through Meharry, I got my prosthodontic expanded functions, signing a 2-year contract. So mine has usually been like a guarantee, like I will work for you for this amount of time and you'll pay for my school. So when I got all my certifications and went to tech school, I didn't owe any money at the end. For me at the time, that it just worked out best.
All right, we got time for two more, and I'm gonna ask you all to, I'm gonna see you too. Just ask your question to one or two people, not to the entire room.
I have a question for you. So like when you like didn't pass your dental exam the first time, did it like make you like, oh like I don't want to do this anymore, or like did it make you doubt it?
How did I feel, when I didn't pass my DAT the first time? I boo-hoo cried on my way home, okay? So with the DAT, well, I don't know if it still does now, we've changed some things, but it will tell you, you passed, what your score was right then. You hit submit, it's there, boom. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna take this again, no school's gonna take me. I'll be honest, I made a 15, okay? And 15 isn't terrible, but it's not great either, like, you teeter-tottering, okay? So yeah, no, I boo-hoo cried, and I was like, I'm not gonna make it. If I can't even pass the admission test, how am I gonna make it throughout the school time? You know, and I have severe anxiety. But also with that, I didn't use my resources. With my anxiety, I need extra time. So when y'all get to that point, utilize that. Get your extra time, get your separate room, because those things really did help me, and that's why I practice too. With DAT boot camp, you were able to get the little time expansion as if you were taking it that day. So for me, whether it's 4 hours for, you know, my neighbor, it's 8 hours for me. I'm there all day, but I'm utilizing it. So then I got my 17. So yeah, it was a little heartbreaking, but I mean, that's the same way you just being a student now. Like this one stuff, I never failed exams for real. I'll be failing exams left and right. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it. But I'm here. I'm making it. Been here. So okay.
All right, third year dental student, y'all give it up for it.
If I may, let me share something with you all, for the young men in the group. I am a dental hygienist, which is nationwide, statistically speaking, there are only 6% male who are hygienists, registered dental hygienists. Okay, that said, you all are in S.M.I.L.E Healthcare program pathway program, correct? So there, we represent a broad spectrum of the healthcare. So there is opportunity. Everyone in this room may not be a dentist. Everyone in this room may have some who may not be a dentist, doctor, nurse, but there's opportunity, okay? And I will say, hygiene field, there's opportunity for more men. It may be a stigma attached, as nursing was years ago for men. So that has changed. That has changed. So there's opportunity. It's very rewarding and it is lucrative. So it's something to think about.
Dion, go ahead. Dion.
Oh, sorry about that. I just had a question. Do you still run your nonprofit for the high school men? Because that's something I would have loved at that age. Because
I do not, but I still have some of those connections. And I'll tell you a bit more about it. It was a program specifically for young Black boys. The suspension rate here in Nashville at that particular time was pretty high. And it started right around the 5th grade. Right around the 5th grade. And we were very instrumental. We were in East Nashville. And we actually were, how can I say it, a bridge or a liaison for the parents and the school system. So in essence, the boys who were suspended for behavior problems were actually being punished academically, because when you're suspended, you don't get academic credit. So in essence, our program was a bridge for those students who were suspended for behavior problems. And we know that's kind of broad as well. They were allowed to come to our facility. We would actually receive their academic work. They would finish their work and take it back to school. They would still get academic credit, but they wouldn't necessarily be in the building, so to speak. So
yeah, I like that.
Last question, after that, I am going to ask the panelists to, you got 30 seconds to give them your best advice. So we'll end with that, but we'll ask the last question and then we'll wrap up.
Just typical ever thinks they have the best answer. What is the craziest patient situation you've ever dealt with or heard of?
Okay. Maybe you must find
the craziest patient experience. Well, I actually had someone, literally, it was a person who actually literally, before I got started, there was so much anxiety. The person was afraid, had an experience, and actually, it wasn't even her experience. It was an experience that was passed down from her parent, which actually, that anxiety was given to her even before she came in. I went through my school, the health assessment, did all of those things. And as I opened my packet, she literally jumped up and ran out of the office. Literally ran out of the office, ran down the hallway, out the door. So that was one of the worst experiences. But I tell you what, I was able to go back outside before she drove off in her car, and we were able to have the discussion.
So you ran after her?
I did run out.
All right.
I did run out. I mean, patient experience. So I'm still doing some of those things today. We want to make sure that the patient is taken care of. And we didn't want her to leave, in that spirit. So, but she did, and she became one of our loyal patients throughout the year. So definitely.
Let's see, there's a few. One that I remember the most is I'd been in dentistry for about 2 to 3 years. We're working on a teenage boy, I guess he was 13 or 14, severe anxiety. And somehow he literally almost jumped over me to get out of the chair, jumped up on top of the chair and jumped. I had never seen anything like that in my life, but he was pretty scared apparently. I mean, we knew he was nervous. I've had patients had seizures in the chair. That's always a scary moment, especially if you don't know that they have an issue to be causing that seizure. That's why we always ask medical history so we can be prepared. If it's something that, if they tend to have seizures and then they have one, at least to be ready for it and it's going to pass and everything's okay. Yeah, I think the one jumping over was the craziest.
Jumped over.
So dealing with public health, and I tried to figure which one this would be the craziest. The craziest for me was doing house calls for my own self, my own practice, and going to Christiana, Tennessee. And you see, I've been carrying those backpacks. Imagine going in where the Roach Motel DeVille is, and you're to assess the patient, 90-something years of age. The children are in their 70s, and you have nowhere to sit your equipment to assess the person. And you can't even see the floor. It's so many roaches. And I think it's crazy. No, you probably will never see that. But I can tell you, to maneuver through that process is about one of the craziest I've ever dealt with.
Did you take one home?
No,
They slide in the bag. They slide in the bag. I'm telling you, all over the they came into the floor. Ooh, you gotta get rid of everything. So. Yeah, that was solid.
Again, being in healthcare is so many, but I think one of the craziest is I had a dog, a service dog. There's a patient that was under emotional distress, again through anxiety, but paying attention to the dog was letting me know that something was about to happen to her. And I don't know what, I think it's the grace of God, because it's like I don't speak dog. That dog stood up and looked at me, and it's a little dog, so it was in the patient's lap. And the dog just kind of was sleeping all of a sudden. And he raised his head and he looked at her, he looked at me, he looked at her, and he just stood up on all four in her lap. And he looked at me and he went to barking. Yeah. So that is signal, something is about to happen with this patient. And so we were able to catch it in time, sit her up, let her breathe, get her, and she said, "Ooh, I felt myself going under." And I thought that was quite amazing, because that dog was literally asleep and just rose up, And so then after she was better, she was able to kind of tell me that, yes, that's what this dog does. That dog has saved her life so many times. And the dog said it's something that they can feel I guess it's something within them, the hormone, whatever is happening inside of her. the dog senses it and then was like able to alert before we had an emergency, a medical emergency. So I thought that was pretty impressive for that dog. I went like, can I give this dog a treat? We're not supposed to give her anything, but she had some things that she gave to me to allow me to give, but saved her life. You know, it's just certain things we don't realize that animals can do. That was pretty amazing.
Right. I want you all to give them another round of applause for taking time out of the week from share. And now, I want you all to take your pens, and they're gonna give you some advice, and I want you to write the advice down. So let's start with Doc, and then we'll make our way down. 30 seconds.
All right.
Use the microphone.
One of the advice that I always tell people to follow your dreams. We get a lot of students here at the school that parents want them to do something, no, I'm a parent too, so I'm never trying to slight our parents. We do have to guide and nurture our children. However, you gotta go deep within to say, what is it that you want to do? And think about that and harbor, and let's start building upon that. Because if someone else tells you to do something that you may not find rewarding, you're not gonna do your best, and it's gonna feel more like work. Work should always be something that you love to do. And that it's not like when I get up and go to work, it's like, oh my God, it's just a drag. You should love what you do at the fullest. So make sure that you nurture that. And if there's anything that I can do to help you with that, always reach out to me.
All right, who wrote something down? What's your down? 3 words.
Follow your dream
All right.
and do
Work
what you
should
want
be
to do.
enjoyable.
All right.
Right, very good. Right, thanks.
Okay, I would say keep your drive and remember your why. Because like I said, you already know I failed. I failed numerous times. And as long as I remember my why and why, I chose this profession and where I want to be at, the drive has been there. Talk to God about it, pray about it, cry about it, shoot, sing the gospel about it. You keep that drive, you keep going because you're gonna make it at some point, okay? That's all I got.
All right, remember your why. Give it up.
My advice is to speak life. Speak life. Okay.
My advice is to always do your very best. Always go above and beyond what you're asked to do, and be early. Be early.
Oh,
Don't
I
be
heard
late.
that before.
Because if you're early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late, and if you're late, you're out of luck. So when you arrive early and you are ready to go, and that is appreciated.
Everybody write it down and underscore and circulate.
So, I concur with them, and I do think, to soul search. If I'm not trying to interfere with your belief system, but for me, discernment. You need to really discern what you want to do so that can help you in your path. And if you pray and, for that discernment. Dr. Salter talked a lot about, he had a whole slide on the different things with research, time management, etc. Attorney Ware spoke of, don't be lazy in the research when you're applying for your career and how you want to fund it. Graduate assistant programs I thought would also be good, that we didn't mention, as well as if you're doing the nurse practitioner track, there's something called HRSA, that after you finish, you would be able to apply for public servant jobs, and they'll reimburse and pay like a loan repayment program there at an underserved
Right. That's it, folks. Y'all do my hand.